JC Caceres here with at the RVCA headquarters in Costa Mesa, California, and we're interviewing the one and only Jason Parillo. Jason, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. You're just coming off of one of your fighters that you're working with, Tito Ortiz. He just had a huge win a couple of weeks ago. Talk to us about the win over Ryan Bader and what you saw in that.
Um, it was poetic, huh? It was beautiful, man. I mean, everything came into play. Had a great camp. Tito's mind was where it needed to be, where it hasn't been in a long time. His skill level came up a little bit too, because I think he was willing to absorb stuff and listen. I know his ego was set aside, and we got what we needed to do, and we got that victory. Plus, we got it with a big right hand. I don't remember the last time I seen my boy drop somebody with that right hand, dude. So it was sweet justice for me as a boxing coach.
That just looking at the fight again, it seemed like he went ahead and was able to set everything up with his boxing. The jab led to the right hand, and then the right hand, once it dropped Bader, it opened up his submissions. Is that something that you worked with Tito just to go ahead and relax more and let his hands flow?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, then you heard him say he let his hands go, and that's something that he hasn't done in a long time, if ever, really, in a fight, because he was more of an aggressive guy, putting you on your back and elbow you out of there. But he's always had the coordination. He's a good athlete, man. And he's always had the coordination and the body mechanics to use his hands as a weapon if he wanted to. He's never really had the confidence to do it. Yeah, I think we got him a little better balance. I think he feels stronger in his stance, to where he knows he can hold his ground a little better on his feet, and which at the same time gives him the confidence to let his hands go and fire the punches. I think we got him in a little better position when he fires too, so he's not so vulnerable to get caught or counter punched. And you throw punches and get hit. A big portion of times you're letting your hands go. It takes away your confidence from throwing your hands. So I think we put him in a little better position defensively as he's letting his hands go, to give him a little more confidence. And, he has a mindset, and bottom line, you can't teach fighters hunger, and he's hungry. So it's benefiting us big time.
Tito's been around the sport for a long time. Obviously, he was in a must-win situation. Just looking back at some of his fights that he had before he started working with you, do you think that, you could always see that he needed help with his hands and it just wasn't flowing as well as it should?
100%. As a fighter, I mean, like, without your fists, it ain't a fight. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a big portion of fighting. I mean, if we're just slapping each other, we got pancreas or we got something else going on. Fist fighting is, throwing your fists is a big part of a fight. And I told a guy before in an interview, when I saw him in the Matt Hamill fight, I watched him out there. I seen him 8 weeks prior, because he came down and tried working with me a little bit, and I think we were connecting well, and his personal life made him, skip town and go up to Big Bear, and, we got disconnected, so we couldn't really establish what, both we wanted to combine mentally and physically. But yeah, when I watched him in that fight, I watched how high he was on his, where he had no base whatsoever. He couldn't have stopped Hamill in his track if he wanted to, because he didn't have, the mind wasn't there and the fundamentals weren't really there. It's tough to improve. I mean, the fundamentals are just inches here and there. And we got a fight now in 3 weeks, and I would have liked more time to build on the fundamentals that we kind of established, the little inches that we gained, and which given him more confidence. But we're jumping right back in the firing line real time soon, or short time soon here in 3 weeks. And, it's just a matter of bringing the right mindset back in and holding on the fundamentals that we gained, and maybe we can add another inch before we get there.
Speaking of that, I mean, the news broke yesterday that Tito's in there for UFC 133, and he's going to be taking on Rashad Evans. He's taking the place of injured Phil Davis. Do you kind of see it like a blessing in disguise, because he is in shape and he didn't have to work long, and all of a sudden he went from having his back against the wall and being one fight away from being cut to all of a sudden he's the headliner of UFC 133.
Yep, and possibly a shot at the title after, when we get that victory. But I mean, I come from the, is it good to fight that close together? I mean, that's pretty much the question. If we hold on to what we harnessed in the last fight, it is a blessing in disguise. Um, we got to keep him right emotionally. I don't doubt he can beat Rashad. He's had a draw with him before, which he could have even had the win. I think there was a fence grabbing deal that might have affected the scorecards. But either way, I think we got a stronger-minded Tito going to this fight, regardless. And fundamentally, I believe he's more sound. I mean, and Rashad's scrappy and he moves a lot. Um, but the only concern I think on anybody's mind is the gap, how far the gap is. It's right there, but Tito's the one thing you can't question is the size of the guy's nuts, man. Pardon the French, but at the end of the day, I mean, the guy likes to fight. He's a real fighter. He's a real dude. You know what I mean? I think it's gonna be a huge blessing in disguise for us at the end of the day, because I see him with the right mind frame. I think he's in the right gear to go and beat Rashad too.
Do you think that, didn't mean to cut you off, but do you think that because he has been in there with Rashad before, and that it's something that, presents a bit of an advantage to where he knows, had it not been for the fence grab that you mentioned, he would have won that decision. Do you think that now, having more weapons, bringing more weapons to the dance, it's an advantage for Tito?
Well, of course. I mean, anytime you bring more weapons to the table, it's going to be an advantage to you at the end of the day, especially if you've been in there with the guy before. And I think Tito's the type of fighter that he internalizes his experiences in the ring, in the cage, in the gym, and being in a dance with Rashad before, makes him. At the end of the day, I think he's going to bring that into he's going to bring whatever he's added to his game, and I think he's a smart enough fighter, to figure out how to beat a guy a second time when he gets in there. Fighters are different. Some guy get in there a second, they didn't learn anything from the first time, and follow the same mistakes, because it becomes a pattern. Two guys work together enough times, they fall into patterns with each other. I believe Tito's going to be able to change up whatever pattern they had going in the last fight, add to it, and be offensive and win the fight.
I think the MMA world, is starting to go ahead and take notice that, your success that you've had with the fighters you've worked with. Talk about some of those fighters from MMA that you've worked with, and how you've helped them turn the corner. Obviously, your most prized pupil is BJ Penn, but then you have also Tito Ortiz now, and then you have your boxers that you work with, like Danny Perez. Talk about working with those MMA fighters and trying to teach them the fundamentals of boxing.
It's funny because it comes from all range. I mean, I've taught housewives to box. I've taught 70-year-old men how to box. Taught lawyers, taught just all different shapes and sizes. At the end of the day, you got to build a base foundation regardless at the end of the day. So it's pretty much just like anybody. The difference is you're working with the mindset of a fighter, which makes it special for me, which I like because I love fighting. I love the game of fighting. And at the end of the day, what I'm trying to get across to these guys is going to benefit their life. It's going to change their life. It's going to benefit them as a winner or a loser. And the time I've gained the most grounds with any athlete or fighter that I work with is when they're willing to listen to me, really, regardless. I mean, you get a guy, there's a lot of guys and there's a lot of coaches or trainers and coaches and whatever that, have the basic fundamentals, It's getting their guy to believe in them at the end of the day. They believe in them. They can gain a lot more at the end of the day, to get a lot more grounds, I understand both the boxing and the MMA game and the Muay Thai. I just got a Muay Thai champ about last Saturday. Bryce Krause won a Muay Thai title, which was nice. But, it's understanding where you're at, I guess. At the end of the day, working with these MMA guys, and most boxers and most coaches in the boxing game really shied away with, because they look junky in there. They look really mechanical. They look lumbering. They really push a lot of their punches. It's just because they haven't learned. And they haven't. And some of them haven't given boxing enough respect because they grew up not knowing which one's better. And at the same time, they can't do it. They don't have the reflexes to do it. But at the end of the day, when they come in, they want to learn how to throw punches. It's awesome for me.
Freddie Roach was once quoted as saying that BJ Penn has the best hands he's ever seen, the best boxing he's ever seen in MMA. Obviously, you as a trainer, that's a compliment to you. Do you think the secret's out now that if you want to get good with your hands, and you're an MMA fighter, Jason Parillo's the guy to come see?
Well, yeah. If you're going to believe in me and come down, I would be the guy to see. You got to believe in where you're going and what you're listening to. At the end of the day, if you do that, I'm going to give you some gains. I'm going to add inches to your game. At the end of the day, if you believe in what I have to say and what I'm showing you, and you can feel it, at the end of the day, you're gonna gain huge grounds. I believe that. Yes.
Can you give us a little background on you for the fans that don't, obviously they've seen you work with, yeah.
Nobody knows me, man, but I like to fly under the radar. No, I've been around the boxing game since I was 16 years old. I trained with the Hall of Fame coach Jesse Reed, who I had an apprenticeship under, basically because as I was fighting coming up, trying doing my amateur career and then trying to do the pro thing and become a world champion myself. I would go to all his camps, the world title fighters that he was working with, and I ended up co-training a handful of his guys. Johnny Tapia, I worked with Francois Botha, Paul Spadafore. I worked with a lot of these guys. Some of these guys I trained sparring partner and trained with them. Some of these guys I was mint man for. I was 8-0 as a professional boxer. Lost my eye. I got attached retina. Got surgery on that. Then I lost half my hand. Had a couple kids and said, I guess, I'm going to be a coach.
Yeah. Message to any fighters that are looking to go ahead and get better at their boxing and want to come and work with you. How can they do that?
How can they? Well, they just track me down, man. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's so funny because as a coach too, it's like, and a lot of these guys do it. You got the high-level coaches in the MMA game that got stable of guys, and they got all the high-level fighters and stuff in there, and they're working. So he was able to just kind of work it out self. I so much specialize in boxing too. At the end of the day, that I really like to be so one-on-one with my guys that my days get just filled. You know what I mean? Because I do like I'm gonna go train Tito in an hour from now. It's gonna be me and Tito, and that's it for 2 hours in the gym, and we're trying to gain some grounds. I got some MMA knowledge, fortunately, but we're gonna bring MMA guys in too, because I'm not worried about taking all the credit. I want the guy to win the fight, But as far you come down to Ruka, check me out. I'm open to train anybody in the world, a loser, a winner, anybody in the world, if they want to come and listen to me. You know what I mean? If they want to listen to me, and it's not an ego thing so much as, this is all I think about. This is all I've done my whole life. This is all I've never paid bills any other way but from the fight game, whether it's me fighting or training other people to fight or training housewives to fight. No matter which way it's been done, that's it. So it's a shallow life I live, but it's what I love to do. And if you got a passion to learn from me, it hungers me at the same time. It strokes my ego, I guess, at the end of the day, but it doesn't matter. I mean, we all benefit at the end of the day that way.
One last question I definitely got to ask you before I leave is the fans want to know, there's been word about BJ Penn fighting Carlos Condit, and that's another title eliminator. Looks like.
Well, BJ's sitting right there. We should ask him himself.
Yeah, what do you think of that potential fight if it should happen?
Well, I like BJ in any fight in the world. When BJ's got the right frame of mind, when he's ready to lick blood, man, that dude, shit. Where's Fedor at? You know what I mean? Or Brock Lesnar. You know what I mean? But BJ and I'm starting to work with him again a little bit. You know what I mean? Again, it goes back to him. My belief is in the fighters that I work with a lot of times, their belief in me, because then we got a combination, we got a connection there. We're bringing that into the cage or into the ring. You know what I mean? It's like, when a guy's not, as a coach, I can't gain any ground to the guy if he just got me there for cosmetics. If I'm just there for cosmetics to hand pad you up and make you look good, I mean, there's no real gains we're going to get. I think if we get a good connection with BJ in camp, you know what I mean? And he goes in there hungry. I like the fight. I love it. You know what I mean? It's a good fight at welterweight, I love BJ at lightweight, you know what I mean? But at welterweight, he can be at the top of the game too, 100%. It's just a matter of what mindset. Either game, either weight class, lightweight, middleweight, cruiserweight, welterweight, heavyweight, whatever. He's got to be connected. He's got to have, again, like Tito had his last camp, a good positive camp. Everybody working for the same goal. When that happens, forget about it.
Awesome, Jason. Well, thank you for your time, and we look forward to Tito's fight.